David Meyler, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning.
Have you seen the new Ireland jersey yet?
I have, yeah.
Do you like it?
I do. I think it's smart. It's not like flash. I do like it. I need to pick it up for my kids. Yeah.
I like the away jersey. Well, you can enter our competition this morning. Our mystery voice. Last opportunity for people to enter it. Who's this?
When their guy come up, I think his name was Timofte. Timofte, his name was who took the penalty.
0879 180 180 is the number. You know who that is, right?
Well, it's Andy Townsend. Yeah, the more entries, the better, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, man. You're just about the right age to have had Andy Townsend as an idol, right?
Are
you too young?
Really...
No. Jesus.
Yeah, I am. You think Andy played what, USA 94 and that, and then kind of played mid to late 90s with Villa and that. I was young. You look at me, like I speak more about Steven Gerrard, Roy Keane, so Andy would have been a bit older, but obviously I know who he was, how he played. Fantastic player. But I think we've given the answer to everyone, haven't we?
We have. I'm disappointed that you're that young, Jesus. But I think he's underrated as great Irish midfielders go. But look, we don't have time to get into that today. Let's get into Manchester United and the scenario that they find themselves in. Midweek, we had our regular Manchester United people on, and they were as happy as they've ever been because their midweek record is absolutely sensational. I think they've won 16 out of their last 17 midweek games. Their European record is excellent. Their performances were good. The squad looked to have depth. They have one of the best young attacking players in the world. And today, 4 days on, we're talking about the manager potentially getting sacked because Pochettino's in the Sky Studios tonight. This is a wild situation that Manchester United find themselves in at the moment.
No, definitely. I actually watched the game midweek against Leipzig, and I think anyone with an open mind would have realised the result wasn't right. Like, it was almost like, Leipzig made subs. I think they brought in the young boy Sabitzer, and they just kind of fell apart, and United just went boom, bosh, bang, like, adding the third, fourth and fifth and whatever, and it just kind of took off. I don't think the performance was very good, but it wasn't, the scoreline didn't suggest it was a dominant performance of the way it was. But then, like, the big tough thing is, he switches to the diamond, he kind of squeezes them all in during the week, and then it's like, what do we do when we play Arsenal? And then they think, well, we're at home, we should be on the front foot. And then it was just the complete opposite. It was just a lackluster performance. I think there was just no spark, no energy. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff highlighted about the players, not motivating themselves or whatever. But it was just a very, very bad day at the office. And look, managers are, judged on results. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be under savage pressure. I just heard Owen speaking there a second ago, talking about Pochettino's on the telly tonight. I can't remember the last time I saw Pochettino, and usually a manager, or if he's not employed at the time, does appear on telly somewhere kind of to say, look, I'm available. I've had my little, gardening leave. I've had my holiday. I've spent time with the family. I want back in now. So maybe he's putting his name forward to say, look, I'm available and I'm out there if you want to come and get me.
It seems that way, and all he has to do is answer a few questions about team shape and his own experience, and all of a sudden people will be comparing, contrasting, and maybe it's not fair, but at the same time, right, Manchester United are in this cycle of manager comes in, makes some changes, does okay for a while, things fall apart a little bit. New manager comes in, does okay, makes some changes, signs some players, and then it's just this constant, perpetual change. I get that if Solskjaer's the wrong guy, then you have to make the change. But do they know if Solskjaer's the wrong guy just yet?
I think probably the biggest problem Manchester United have is, you look at the previous managers before Solskjaer with the Mourinho, Van Gaal, two big, characters in the game of football. I'd say they wanted things their own way. I think there's probably a level of control with Solskjaer from higher up inside. Now, I don't know this firsthand, but you kind of get this idea that, Solskjaer's been through the system, obviously spending so long of his career there with Sir Alex, and then now he's at the point where, he's not getting the players he wanted to sign originally. You look at there has to be massive question marks raised over Donny van de Beek. Spending 40 million and he's not playing regular football. I know we did touch on that last week about Pogba and whatever, but he wanted Sancho. It doesn't happen. There was talks that he wanted Grealish. It doesn't happen. And then it's almost as if somebody in the board or someone higher up has kind of said, well, hold on a minute, you're lucky to be in this job. Whereas I think with Mourinho and Van Gaal and those fellas were a bit like, well, no, I want these players. These are the players we're going after, kind of thing. It's just so difficult. And now Pochettino is going to be his name is going to be touted everywhere. Even like, as you said, midweek, you have a huge win in the Champions League. Everything is great. We're turning the corner. And then you go and you lose to Arsenal, who haven't beaten Manchester United in 14 years, as Owen touched on as well. It's the first time Arsenal have won away at a top, inverted commas, top 6 side in the last, 5 years. It's kind of like Arsenal yesterday, the big thing about the game yesterday was Arsenal had a game plan and they stuck to it and they executed it. Every player kind of knew their role. Manchester United just looked like they didn't know what to do. They had no plan B. They kept trying to play out from the back. All great, keeping the ball. But then, you've got Fred, McTominay dropping down by the centre-halves. And it's kind of like they haven't even broken the first line of the press that, you're going nowhere. And they just turned over possession so many times. And, it's frustrating for me as a football fan to watch because they do have some very, very good players. And there's cases that call a few of them world class or up in that bracket of maybe not the best in their position, but certainly in the top 5, 6, 7, and they just look out of sorts, and inevitably that's going to fall back at the manager's door, and that's the sad reality of it because the manager counts on the players. You can talk about tactics and whatever, but once the game starts or that first whistle is blown, the players have got to perform, and at the moment, Man United are too hot and cold, they're too inconsistent.
Do you put any weight in the tactics then yesterday? Like, when should you play a diamond? And was yesterday the game to play that in?
Look, the diamond had worked for them, so you can't knock that. If it's not broke, don't fix it. It had worked during the week against the good side who just capitulated in the second half. But I get the point of them playing the same formation. But if you go back 2 weeks ago when they played Paris Saint-Germain, Oli played whatever way you want to, dress it up, the 3 at the back, the 5 at the back with the wing backs where Telles and Wan-Bissaka played and whatever, and they were fantastic. And then on the hour mark, when PSG were starting to get a bit of foothold in the game, like he switches, he brings Pogba on, and then like I was one of the first ones to applaud him. People said Pogba changed the game, but I think it was the tactical change, and he got that one spot on. But then yesterday there was no change in the kind of like we need to do something different. You look at the first substitutions, he changes Matic for McTominay, Fred and all them. He's changing whole midfielder. There was no kind of why not go to 3 at the back and try and pile more fellas forward or something. It was just you've got to hold your hands up when you get it wrong, and the tactics were wrong yesterday, but also at the same time, like the players didn't perform. They turned over possession too much. Obviously, the majority of us would have watched it on Sky. You see Jamie Redknapp highlighting. Like you think if you go to Old Trafford and you have a minute 50 is what he quoted on the ball where you're knocking around and you're able to sustain attack after attack against Manchester United. That's unheard of. If you go back over the years of the teams they had, even going back to like 2-3 years ago, that didn't happen. And that's probably the worry for me is that there was a lack of intensity in them. There was no. I know the Manchester United and Arsenal games aren't the same of the old ones where we watch Keane and Vieira going toe to toe, but there was just nothing. You look at Thomas Partey yesterday coming in and he had a field day. I think if any young midfielder wants to learn a game, like watch how he played, the positions he took up. He looked like he never got out of third gear. He was just comfortable, breaking up play, getting on the ball, dictating the pace of it. And that was the worrying thing, to go for a midfielder to go to the Premier League or go to Old Trafford, in the Premier League, and to be able to dictate a game. That was the worrying thing. But Manchester United today are gonna, they're gonna sit down. They'll probably watch the game back 2-3 times, and they're gonna, analyse it, and they've got to, solve these problems.
can I ask you about that Arsenal performance then? Because you mentioned Thomas Partey, who obviously is going to get picked out for an unbelievable performance. Like, where is that dial at for Mikel Arteta at the moment, where he can start pushing it towards being a little bit more offensive? Because it's going to be a full month in the Premier League now without scoring from open play.
Of course. Look, like Arsenal haven't been fantastic this season. They've lost games, but I think they're starting. I think the big thing for Manchester United fans and Arsenal fans, it looks like Arsenal have a direction in which they want to go in. We can obviously highlight Thomas Partey. He was excellent yesterday. Like I said, everything he did was, you can see why he played at Atletico Madrid and why Diego Simeone loved him. I think Simeone came out after and said he didn't want to lose him, but there was a clause, and once the clause is met, it's kind of out of the club's hands. It's really down to the player. But like everything from Arsenal yesterday, you look at Gabriel centre half, he was fantastic. Kieran Tierney looks like a bargain for 25 million, and then of course the big thing, like you've still got Lacazette, Aubameyang. They've got good players. Of course, look, they want to be scoring more goals in open play, but they seem to have a direction in which they want to go in, and the way they set up, their tactics were spot on. Manchester United couldn't get on the ball, dictate the play. They just kept forcing them into errors and turning over possession. But Arsenal will be looking to improve going forward, because Aubameyang is a top class striker and he'll expect to score more goals, and he won't want to be scoring penalties every week.